Hello, everyone. I am Colin Bullen, founder and director of Virtuosity, and with me today is my good friend, fellow founder and partner, Hanley van Wyk. Hi, Hanley.
Hey.
So today we are covering the AK study that we have been involved in. It's actually a little time ago now, but I think it's still informative and relevant to many of the organisations out there today. It's an organisation that was going through a bit of a transition and had a bit of a communication challenge, to say the least. Ali, do you want to talk through in a bit more detail, what the challenges were that you encountered there?
Absolutely. This is very interesting. The leadership team approached the founder and CEO of this professional services company, pointing out to him that that he was the problem, which was very
Brave.
interesting. The amount of courage and balls it took. Well, I probably can't say that, but that it took to like really take him to task on it and say, look, you're part of the problem, and so let's get together and figure it out, which I think was quite great. And they felt that they didn't have a sense of autonomy, that a lot of the decisions that they were asked to make either was overridden or they didn't have the power to make some decisions, that they felt they weren't trusted enough to make those, even though many of them were part of a legacy team. They'd been there a very long time. And so their challenge to the founder and CEO was to be more open and collaborative and behave as a team member rather than someone that is separate from the team.
That's interesting. So we were presented with actually a team coming to us rather than CEO, which is a little unusual for us, to be fair, and them saying, we need help here. We need a facilitator engaged in a conversation, but we then also took them into an understanding of how effective teams work. So started to explain to them at a sort of more generic level how things were. So what did we actually do in practice?
So in practice, what we did the first is we interviewed all of the leadership team because I wanted to have their perspective clear. We also started on a coaching journey with the CEO to begin to look at his leadership style and how that was not showing up in a way that was most helpful and effective for the team and the company. We then presented the results to the team and noticed for them that there were a couple of issues that was making things worse. One of them was that they didn't really understand what would not be tolerated, and that wasn't clearly articulated and shared. And the other was this issue of having side conversations about the problem or about the other person in the team that was or wasn't doing something, rather than addressing it as a team and solving for it, which created these silos in which they were doing what their work, but not sharing a lot of what they were learning and how they could be working together as a team, making the company stronger and making the team stronger. So once they had some insight into that, we had to start working on how to break down these bad habits, because this has been going on for quite a while. And to break that habit of, we call it pairing, where instead of saying this is a behavior that gets in the way of the team functioning well and the company doing what it needs to do, they would have side conversations to try and either resolve it or to reduce their anxiety around it. And so that was one of the big things, is to say, how will you as a team begin to deal with issues that get in the way of the performance of the team as a team going forward? It's one of the hardest behaviors to break, but this team was so committed to the company and to them as a team and to the CEO, despite the fact that he was not being the kind of CEO they were hoping for at that stage in time, because he'd also stepped up and addressed his own leadership style. It really built strength and confidence in the team and cohesion in the team. So they took that on and helped each other break that habit of pairing.
It sounds like it's a courage story. And first of all, there was the courage to raise the issue and to bring in somebody to help facilitate it. And then, as you say, breaking something like the pairing and engaging in the real issues, the discussions that really matter, together, either face to face with the person that's bothering you, or to bring it to the whole team and say, this is my challenge, or I can't do this, I'm struggling, can you help, is something that requires courage, and teaching them how to land that conversation safely. So it didn't require quite as much courage. The courage didn't need to be the barrier. It was obviously a huge thing you managed to achieve with this team. So I suspect they're hugely grateful. What was the outcome? Did it really make a difference?
You know, it really made it, and it was, in a way, it was fortunate they were a legacy team because they knew each other really well. So yes, it did take courage, but I think part of the fact that they knew each other well helped them overcome the resistance to wanting to do that, which is a natural thing, right? And to break those habits. So yes, the team ended up being much more aligned and cohesive. Obviously, I worked with them for quite a while because these were deep behaviors. But the thing that I really loved is that the founder and CEO established a new business structure with the input of the team, so that they felt that they had some sense of working together with him, coming up with things that would work, that worked for everybody. So he was an integral part of also creating that team cohesion, and putting energy back into the team and reducing the frustration around working together in an environment that wasn't getting them where they all wanted to be.
Yeah, so it's interesting. He demonstrated very openly and very clearly the behavior that they had wanting him to demonstrate, and the person that he wanted to be, an inclusive and fully engaged evaluation of the business strategy, which, presumably given the results that we got, we know that he actually did listen. He didn't just play lip service to it. He engaged in the process and allowed them the autonomy and the power to have their say. Yeah, great case study. Thanks, Hanley. Thanks for sharing.
All right.